You're live.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Three Man League College Basketball Podcast. Matthew Cox, running point guard tonight, flanked by my combo guards, utility men, Kai McKeon, Jim Root. And we are 1 month in to the date to the 2024 campaign, Kai, December 6th.
Hmm.
Wow, 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 indeed. We'll get to a lot of thoughts from last weekend and week ahead as well. Pretty standard episode today. I'll go to Kai first. Kai, give me some rapid thoughts. What's on in your life? Just something, spark it.
Well, first of all, I'm
Any
surprised that we're a month in. Wow, when you said that, I shocked me, Matthew. Yeah, doing
holy
doing good.
grabber,
I'm
intro grabber, got
I'm
your attention.
concerned about
Smart.
our
Yep.
sound coming to YouTube because it was not solid last week on our best bet show, and I'm afraid it's not working again today with Matt and Jim at least. I think my audio is fine. I don't know why that is. For the podcast people, this means nothing because your sound will be perfect. But for the YouTube, we are not sure. So apologies for those who have to deal with that again on the video.
Yeah, I think it's the same issue on the YouTube. I would be open to relaunching Kai if we wanted to try to do that via our old method with no beautiful designs. But yeah, again, for the people watching on YouTube, it is going to probably come through weird. If you're listening to the podcast, ignore this. Sorry. We're excited to be talking hoops. It's been a whole month. We're only going to react to the past week because we're recency bias boys. But Matthew, we're not as recency biased as some. We're gonna stay rational.
No, but I am going to try to be more recency bias this year. I like kind of being overreaction. Hot take guy. Just keeps it more fun. Yeah, show outline, pretty standard as I mentioned, run around it up, tell you what we saw. We even saw that. Give you some three men thoughts. Thoughts. Some previews for the upcoming weekend, and it's the first I would call real Saturday slate. 100 plus games, marquee matchups. We're in the midst of rivalry week this week, so a lot of good rivalry games coming up tonight, Wednesday. Last night, I listened to this on Thursday, and then this weekend as well, and some reviews at the very end as well. But first, the number one review we always give in this podcast is the glowing review of Jay Pitty, the goat of the intro outro music in the college basketball podcast space. Thank you for all the work you do, Jay Pitty, and stay hot out there. Congrats on your life endeavors. And please subscribe to this podcast, by the way, on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, among other platforms where you can leave us reviews, ratings, preferably of the 5-star variety. We will discuss those at length at the end of the program. Personal Corner, yes, as Kai mentioned, our Best Bet show continues to play out every Saturday. Hopefully, we will have an audio fix at that time. I think this is only like a second episode issue. We're not really sure what the dealio is. Um, if you're an audio expert, DM us. We'd love to, we're open to inquiries on any suggestions or troubleshooting that you may have. And please buy the Almanac, the All Caps Almanac, Volume 2 at cbbalmanac.com. That is still available for purchase. Still very useful. I have it up on my daily third monitor as I go through the slate every day. So I use it. I'm a, self-proclaimed professional at this, and I think it's helpful. So I don't know. Do what you got to do, but I think you should buy it. Other thoughts before we get to round up? No. Let's just round it up.
Let's do it. I'm seeing reports in the chat that the audio is fixed. Holy
Whoa.
cow. Maybe. Fixed for a second. Now it's back. All right. We're going to find out. But yeah, we're talking Roots Roundup. Before we do that, we got to give a shout out to our good pals over at CBB Almanac.
Sorry, I think I understand what's happened. Ready? Here we go. We're gonna try this out live on the video. Jim, talk.
Kai, we're talking CBB Almanac. That's the best 30,000 foot view of the numbers in college hoops. It
Let me
is
let me know if the
fall
people out there
page.
hear Jim right now in the chat, please, for me. Could you hear Jim just now? Now, Matt, talk.
They say was fixed, back fixed. We'll see.
Matt, say the number 31.
31.
Okay.
Great number.
Nice. It's working. Let's go.
We hope. But yeah, CBB Analytics, we got to make sure we give them their due credit, their due love. It is, like I said, the best 30,000 foot view of the numbers in college hoops. It is getting to be everywhere. You see Trilly Donovan posting about it, posting excerpts from it. You see other people, like Sam Vecini has started to look at it for his the athletic scouting. Can't speak to that for sure, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him use it. The on-off stuff that's in there, the shot charts, all kinds of great information. More than 21 D1 coaching staffs signed up to use CBB Analytics last season. There's a lot of scouting, game planning stuff in there. So you can use the same things as college basketball staffs. There's a lot of great intel in there. Great for bettors, great for fans, great for coaches. Obviously, that's why they're using it. So if you're a diehard fan, you're going to love it. Promo code is WEAVE at setup. It will save you $40 off your first subscription or your annual subscription. Promo code WEAVE. Punch that in. CBBAnalytics.com. We love them. It's terrific, terrific intel. All right. On to the roundup. Guys, there's a key headline I didn't even put in here that I'm going to surprise you with. Oh, I guess it got mentioned. There's a new NIL proposal that would allow schools to opt into being rich schools. And I say it like capital R, capital S, rich schools that would pay each of their athletes $30,000 a year. This goes across sports. This goes across genders, satisfies the Title IX type stuff. It would allow those schools to create different rules within their own rich world, operate at a different level than the other rest of the schools. It's interesting because then, you'd still be competing even in the same leagues. Like if Gonzaga was a rich school and the rest of the WCC was not, it'd still be competing for the same conference titles. And you can be competing for the same national title. It is already, or it's just a proposal. So we don't know exactly where it's going to be, but it's interesting because it's kind of a recognition of the dividing lines that are happening in the sport. And it's an effort by the NCAA, Matt, to keep everybody together and allow for some different variations of levels in the sport without having to fracture and become completely different entities.
Yeah, I can see this going both ways. Like, I think it does. It's a little more democratic, I guess, kind of way, but also could just further enhance the split between the haves and the have-nots. So I don't know. I can't say I'm not privy enough to speak confidently on this right now. Just too early.
Yeah, there's still a lot to be figured out. I just read a kind of an explainer before we got on, so I made sure I at least have some sort of confidence discussing it. But we'll continue to observe that because it's not something that's been put into law. It's just something to be aware of, that there might end up being this kind of dividing line, but hopefully doesn't mean the end of the NCAA tournament in 30 years, but we'll see. There's always that concern looming over the horizon like a guillotine hanging over our heads.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's fair, Kai. But do you hate it more than the top 60 schools breaking away from the NCAA entirely?
Nope, but that's going to happen. I'm very much, college is done. College sports is going to be done in 10 years, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is just like,
it's pessimistic, but I think it's true. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, trying to throw them a bone when they want 100 bones. And
Yep.
It's not probably going to satisfy them, unfortunately. Whatever. Okay. Conference realignment. Chicago State has found a home. The reigning champions of the independents, Chicago State Cougars, are headed to the NEC. Geographically, it doesn't make sense, but who cares about geography in this day and age? Conferences don't seem to at all. So, hey, Chicago State on a competition level, this makes sense. The NEC tumbled down a little bit last year. No more Bryant in that league. They're in the AEC. But yeah, NEC really struggled last year, and Chicago State could compete there, given some of the resurgence we've seen under Jill Gillian. So happy to see them find a home and hopefully share in some NCAA tournament revenue in the future.
It's a great fit, Jim. Makes way more sense than the WAC, and I'd say it's even geographically better than the WAC for Chicago State. So good. I'm glad this happened.
Yeah, I mean, the OVC, we're kind of looking at you. How dare you not include Chicago State? But the NEC, props to you.
Yeah.
Hey, the NEC gets the Chicago TV market now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Huge.
NEC front row, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right there. All right, let's get coaching news. The state of South Carolina had some unrest this week, starting with Barclay Radebaugh stepping down at Charleston Southern. He had been there for nearly 20 years, was the dean of coaches down there in the Big South. They have handed it over to Saad Nimley, the interim coach. He will take over for the rest of the season. And joining Charleston Southern in this move mid-year is Coastal Carolina. Cliff Ellis, one of the fossils remaining in the sport. I mean that affectionately. Sorry, Mr. Ellis, if you listen to this. One of the longest tenured coaches in the entire country. He is retiring, giving it to his assistant, kind of in hopes to let him earn the job, a la Bo Ryan, handing it to Greg Gard. But Kai, he's the winningest active coach in Division I with 829 wins. So another legend, like maybe not looked at the same way as Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, but a long time coach has stepped down.
Yeah, interesting. He's doing it now. I don't know. hopefully not health reasons. But yeah, great career. Obviously, he's coached tons of places. Yeah, you shall be missed, Cliff Ellis, and Ray DeBow as well, I suppose, Jim. He was there forever, 20 years at Charleston Southern. Crazy run.
Yeah, a couple coaches we thought we had more or less figured out in terms of
Yes.
how good their teams were. So this adds a little wrinkle to some of the prognosticating, Matthew.
The vocal calls for Cliff Ellis to retire all off season this year. Like it just is sort of it was painful to do, but you could hear it pretty audibly. And yeah, so associate head coach Benny Moss takes over. He's been there since 2011. So yeah, another like long tenured associate, longtime assistant. Yeah, you fully understand the loyalty here by Ellis to try and hand it off to his guy. Akin to the guard and Bo Ryan thing.
Yeah, good luck to his assistant because this might be the worst Coastal team that Ellis has had in his 15-year tenure there. So it's going to be tough. The Sun Belt's very competitive. We'll see if he can earn that job or not. Nothing in recruiting, no commitments. 2024, 2025. We love it. Skip that section. One waiver definitely worth mentioning here. Efton Reed, eligible at Wake Forest. He should make his debut tonight, Wednesday night, as the Demon Deacons host Rutgers. Kai, kind of massive for them. They just got Matthew Marsh back from a concussion too. They had the guards. Now they got the size too.
Yeah, that was one of the big reasons they were struggling so far this year. They've been getting killed inside. They've been getting killed on the glass, and that really showed up in that tournament with LSU, with Utah, even with Towson. So yeah, he makes a huge difference. Once they have Monsanto back, this team's definitely a team I will be buying stock in. Even though I kind of struggled with them early, Jim, this season to start the year.
Yeah, I love what Forbes does every year with his guards, bringing them through the portal. They blossom immediately. Like that's got to be such a great pitch to guys. Like, oh, come be Alondas Williams, come be Tyree Appleby, come be Hunter Salas. And if Efton Reed can secure the interior, like you mentioned, Monsanto, the over half court range that he has from the perimeter, Wake Forest could be a little bit of a sneaky force come ACC season. Excited to see how that pans out because, man, I actually really do like that roster now. All right, that is it for the roundup. Surprisingly, Matthew, no random news and notes, nothing super exciting in that world. So we're going to kick it back to you. However, Weave saw that.
We saw that. We saw a lot more than what we're going to talk about right here, but want to highlight some of the cooler moments of the last 6 days, I suppose. A few of which are fresh on our minds from last night. We'll start off with Tyler Perry, the House of Rain. Just one of a million of these home teams that have been dominating in the Power Conference challenges. K-State, the Icon of Doom, hosting Villanova. Tyler Perry with the game-winning vintage patented step back. I think he's the best, like, late shot clock. We need a bucket here. Go take a tough one. Like, I think he's probably the best. I think the data would probably back that up too. So just an amazing shot here.
In his either game winners or send game to overtime at the buzzer type thing. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And Kai, what is Jerome Tang's OT record now?
It's now 9-0 at K-State. 9-0. Kind of wild. They've played 9 overtime games in a little over one season, but that was their third of the year, I think. Third in a row, maybe.
Yep.
And yeah, man,
probably.
I went to the Octagon last year. That is an awesome place to watch a basketball game, especially one between two really good teams. Man, such a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, probably didn't need OT against UNA and Oral Roberts, but
right.
Whatever, a win's a win.
Yep, just take it. Take the W. It's going to look the same on the team sheet later. Just a slightly lower margin in those games. But yeah, big time. I love Mr. Perry. He was terrific. Maddie, you watched the Jimmy V Classic. Your FAU Owls played pretty competitively, but Illinois was just better on this day, partially due to Mr. Marcus Damask, who exposed FAU in that big wing territory, which is where they're weakest.
Yeah, they have two, him and Terrence Shannon, who also had a career high, somehow was like the sub-headline undercard of the storylines with how good Domask was. I mean, it was just Marcus Domask dribbling the ball down the court and like isoing Nelly Davis or catching on the wing and kind of sizing up, a little kind of mini back down mid post. And yeah, he was killing. Illinois, like, this is like the one game overreaction, big stage overreaction. But man, that's a team that you can see how they wax Rutgers. And that's a team that can be terrifying down the stretch with Coleman Hawkins now back and healthy too.
They shot 76% from the field.
A ton of mid ranges too. Like, I mean, Dustin was like, man, we were kind of like fine with a lot of these shots, but I just think FAU without Black Golden major rim protection question marks there for sure.
It's not just the rim protection. I mean, that team is like tailor-made to beat FAU. It's like, all right, we start 6'4" and under at 1 through 4, and they start 6'6" and over at every spot except center. It's like, all right, we've got big wings that can shoot over the top of you or out physical you to the rim. It was just a terrible, terrible matchup. And that's hindsight analysis. It wasn't something I was all over before the game. But looking back, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing that's going to be tough for FAU to handle. And Illinois really exposed them there. So tip the cap to the Illini.
Illinois did crush Rutgers on the board. So, like, sort of, if you're FAU, you don't feel like you're too down here. I mean, it's not easy to bully Rutgers inside, and Illinois did that at the rack. So
I actually go the other way. I said this to maybe you guys too, but I think it's impressive FAU was in the game the entire way. I mean, Illinois was unconscious. I know some of those shots were easy, good looks, but Domask was still hitting some tough ones. And you saw this with Marquette against Purdue. These teams are throwing the best shot possible that they have at FAU or Marquette, and they're still right there in the game. They could have won. I think that speaks a lot to FAU. It speaks to Marquette. That speaks to UConn at Kansas as well. Teams that are losing these games, but in reality look pretty good in the midst of a Herculean effort from their opponent.
Yeah, pretty sure I need to double check this, but I think they said in the broadcast that both Shannon and Domask had career highs. Yeah. And FAU had it like a 1-possession game with a minute or 2 minutes left. So not too bad. I don't think we're really going to knock FAU for that. I think it's more of Illinois has got that gear. They really do have that gear this year. They're a little more unselfish too than last year. Ball movement's just significantly better for them. All right. Next on, we saw that. We got to shout out our little bye game badness that happened out in the world. We'll start with Kentucky because this team was the darling of the college basketball world after they blew out Miami, who had already anointed a top 10 team. But no, the Wildcats, Kai, they lose at home to UNCW. Seahawks, one of the best jersey color combinations in the entire country. Impressive performance. It seemed like, all right, UNCW's up early. Maybe in the second half, that's when Kentucky makes the run. But no DeJuan Wagner, no DJ Wagner in this one, and Aaron Bradshaw made his debut. Are we taking a sweeping conclusion from that, or is this just a one-off outcome?
I had an inkling that Kentucky would not be as good with Bradshaw back in the lineup. I don't think he's the reason they lost. I think UNCW played a good game. Kentucky maybe did not. Frustrating for a guy that bet on UNCW against East Carolina, and the Seahawks could not hit anything, and then go and beat Kentucky at Rupp. This happens. UNCW is a good team. The world's not crumbling down on Kentucky here. We see so many knee-jerk reactions about every single game. I've seen 20 different teams be called the best team in the country, top 5 teams. It's okay. Kentucky, sky's not falling. But yeah, great win for UNCW. Not an ideal loss for Kentucky. Beat goes on. They'll be fine.
Yeah, it's this kind of what we called the shot with Kentucky early. It's like the ceiling is mega, mega high.
Yep.
And the floor is super low because they're young and they're not always going to play as hard as they do against Miami. And they just kind of thought that the game would come to them. And we're going to see that, I think, throughout the season. Some up and down efforts where they look amazing and some where they look not so good.
Yeah,
all right.
They ranked 285th in Haslametrics consistency. I thought it was actually be higher than that, just given the massive pendulum swings of those games so far.
That tells you how inconsistent some other teams must have been, Matthew. That's what I would say. That's my reply to that. Other bye game losses. Mississippi State drops one to Southern 60-59 as 26.5-point favorites. Kai, I tweeted this, but Mizzou no longer holds the most embarrassing SEC home loss to a SWAC school. So congrats, Mississippi State.
I got no idea. Trey Ford didn't play, but that's still not really a huge excuse. I didn't see that one coming, Jim, especially how well Mississippi State's played to begin the year. That was shocking.
Yeah. Backing this up after they had lost to Georgia Tech pretty handily, down double digits almost the entire way. Yeah, it's not quite the gear we've wanted to see from Mississippi State, but Matt reports today that Tolu Smith is maybe going to be back even sooner than mid-January. How hyped are you?
Very hyped. And your boy Trey Ford, Jim, hopefully he's back soon. Did not play in that game. Obviously not an excuse, but, would have helped. Good player.
It's almost like I said that.
Oh, I was sorry. I was just looking at the stats here. Okay. Did I say it more profoundly than you did? That's
almost word for word verbatim.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
We love that. When we pay attention to each other. Beautiful. Penn State lost to Bucknell. I am eating all of my Penn State words in the preseason. That team is just defensively dead. The biggest like movable object versus stoppable force today with the Maryland offense against the Penn State defense. I'm curious how that gets settled. For some that are listening on Thursday, that game's already happened, but man,
Yeah.
it's going to be gruesome.
I don't like the way Mike Rhodes has been talking, Jim, either about his team. Not that he's saying they're bad, but he can't figure out the lineups quite yet. He's like bringing Ace Baldwin off the bench. He's saying he needs to be a lot better. It's a lot of different lineups. He's still figuring it out combination wise. So yeah, they're not even close to a finished product or even a in process product yet.
No. Kanye Clary's banged up. It's tough for them right now. Not real good for the Nittany Lions. It's also not good for Xavier, who dropped their second bye game in a week. Another appearance in this section for them, this time to Delaware. They had a pretty solid effort against Houston at home. But man, another young team. Desmond Claude, the only guy back. They say this 8 times a broadcast when Xavier plays. The only guy from last year that's also playing minutes again this year. So that inconsistency is carried over into their play. It's not great for Xavier. I know the Field 68 After Dark last night did a "What's Wrong with the Big East." I don't think much is wrong with the Big East. I think they played some difficult road games last night. And Xavier we always kind of knew was going to have some problems because of the front court issues, injuries.
Yeah, you lost your 2 starting forwards. Like,
in the
it's not like an
preseason
easy
when
thing
you
to
couldn't
get right.
replace them. Yeah.
So
Last thing to mention here, we saw that Montana State. You dropped a game at home to NAIA Rocky Mountain College, and we will always call out the non-Division I victories for teams like Rocky Mountain.
I'm reading the tea leaves here on Montana State, fellas. They're not good. They fooled us.
Matt Logie, shots fired.
No, I think Matt Logie's fine.
Their last 3 efforts are
but
terrible.
the team does not look good right now. The Seattle game fooled us. The Cal game fooled us. And then it's been bad.
Yep. Last 3 games, getting absolutely smacked by Washington, losing at home to Long Beach, who was on a terrible travel spot, gave up like a 14-0 run in the final 4 minutes of that game to lose. And then, losing to Rocky Mountain. So Montana State, not the same team that went to back-to-back NCAA tournaments the last 2 years. All right, that's it for We Saw That. I'm not really sure how I took over that, Matt. I ended up.
It was good. It was
almost like a Roots
roundup.
It was almost like a Roots roundup.
Jim, I loved it. I could tell Kai was squirming because we weren't going on script there. Oh, good. Perfect. Hey, I'll read the ad, though, before we get to the thoughts. Well, as usual, today's show is sponsored by Homefield. And if you don't know, well, you should know, because they make premium collegiate apparel for schools of all sizes, from Power 5 to D3 schools. My sister just sent me her brand new Mizzou bomber. It is pretty spiffy.
She got one?
Just in time for the big KU border war this weekend. Should be a fun one or a blowout. We'll find out. But anyway, back to the ad here. They dig through years of archives to understand each school and fan base, making thoughtful designs that don't just say school name across the chest. They print these unique designs on the most comfortable tees in sweatshirts you'll ever own, right out of their office in the heartland of basketball, Indiana. Go to homefieldapparel.com today to shop your school. If they don't have your school, tweet at them at Homefield Apparel without the E. That's Homefield at Homefield Apparel, APPARL, on Twitter, and get 15% off, the most comfortable, if you use the code 3MW when you check out. My sister did so we got a 15% royalty. She had a discount. It's a win-win-win-win-win for all parties. Bigger one for her, obviously.
We do not get a royalty from the code.
We actually don't get a royalty. We wish we did. We're trying to lobby for that. No, we're not. But hey, use it for yourself. That's all we care about. Support the sponsors,
right? As
they support you. To thoughts we go. Should I start off? I actually kind of like my opening thought. It's a good kind of table setter. But if you're chopping at the bit, Kai, to talk,
now you're the host.
Indiana hoops. Okay, well, you can kind of come in with your hammer after my opening. Kind of long-winded thought, but more of an open table discussion here. Nitwittery, yes, everyone's favorite secret AI machine learning calculus tool has spit out its first rankings of the year, prompting the predictable, dumb, pointless debates of why the system is flawed and why some schools should not be ranked what they are, and vice versa, yada, yada, yada. More of a positive light on this thought here. I want to first give a round of applause to some schools who are shooting up the rankings. In fact, one school, BYU, is number 1 in the net rankings. So round of applause to the Storm and Mormons. Mark Pope was awesome in the Field 68 couple nights ago. So yeah, love what they're doing. They beat every team they play by 50. And they actually play like decent teams, not great teams, they play decent teams. So that's kind of how you help climb the status in that tool. Margin of victory matters, as we know, and they've won by a bajillion points multiple times. So shout out to them. Colorado State's number 7. Princeton is number 10, and Indiana State number 14. Some mid-major darlings there cracking the top 15. Yeah, Princeton, first time they've been undefeated since 1921, and this might be Mitch Henderson's best team.
That's
and he's
surprising.
had some.
Right?
It's pretty crazy because they've had some really good teams, like multiple top 50 teams. This might be his best version.
Yeah, I love to see the mid-major. Like these teams all year have been amazing. This first month, we've been waxing poetic about these teams in our group chat. Remember last year though, right? I think Colgate was top 10 in the first iteration of the net. This changes a lot throughout the season. I always see people overreact about net rankings. Net rankings don't even matter. Jim, for bracketology, they don't even follow the net, to be honest, in terms of like setting them up for seeding and stuff like that. So it's a silly thing.
Yeah, I almost refused to talk about it. I almost was just going to completely not acknowledge the boycott TC Williams with this thought. I don't care about the net. I just mostly if I see somebody like, I can't believe we're so and so in the net right now. I'm like, you're a loser for caring about your own net. It doesn't matter. It's a sorting tool. It's just how they value other teams' wins over you.
Correct.
Who cares? And B, oh my God, we're 9 games in. Who gives a poop? It doesn't matter. Ugh, just
You hit a
it
nerve,
drives me
Jim,
nuts.
Matt.
It just drives me nuts. The people.
Yeah, the point is, Jim's right. It should matter for if you've beaten any of these teams or you're playing them. You should continue to root for them to do well. Like if you've already, like last year, if you had played Colgate, if you're going to play Colgate, that was good for you. But also just more so how good Princeton, Indiana State have been. I don't think they're fraudulent schools by any means. I mean, the top 10, top 15, probably not, but they're awesome. But I think the net kind of helps us sift through the dichotomy in some of the performances year to date. So, for example, Purdue and KU, the only teams that are 3-1 against the Q1. No one's 4-0. I don't think there's any 3-0, a couple 3-0s, I think, but KU and Purdue, which feel like, understandably, the most ridiculed and nitpicked teams in the country. Like, I think everyone's kind of added their little dose to why these teams both suck, but like in reality, they're both probably really good. They've just played the biggest games and the biggest stages so far. Iowa and Washington are the best teams in the top, I think, 60 that are 0-3 against Q1. So, I think both better than we expected, probably, but haven't really proven anything to anyone. Let's be honest.
Those are 2 teams that have smashed bad competition. That's what I would say.
Yeah, Iowa loves doing that.
Have failed all their major tests. Yep.
Hey, we have Cyhawk tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit coming up here. But yeah, both Iowa and Iowa State really hasn't proven much either. But certainly more than Iowa has, that's for sure. Speaking of teams that have to prove it tonight, Texas in the revenge spot for Shaka Smart, at Marquette. Texas is 0-1 against the Q1, Q2, and Q3. They have no wins against the top 3 quadrants. They are 6-0 against Q4. They played UConn.
What that means, right?
That means they're what?
That means Louisville's in Q4.
Yeah, tough.
As they should be.
Yeah, and we saw them play UConn, and really that game was really never competitive. But
what? No, yes, it was. It was like 4 points with 4 minutes left.
No, Texas played UConn well.
Yeah,
UConn was up early though. I thought they controlled that game. Like, they made a nice run at the end. They got dicey late. That's fair. I still don't think Texas is that good. Another trivia question, one final trivia question for you fellas. There are only 4 teams that are 3-0 against the Q2, Quadrant 2. Colorado State, FAU, James Madison, and a sneaky darling mid-major who might surprise you, who've had some kind of good wins so far. They've won at a marquee SEC school.
I was going to say like
a struggling SEC school, I'll say. Ooh, Jim, good. That's a great guess because their head coach used to coach here at the correct
Greens?
UNC Greensboro. Oh. Who? Mike Jones, yes. 3-0 against the Quadrant 2. They've been a nice little analytical darling this year. We'll see how that pans out. But fun start. And again, as you mentioned, none of this really matters. I think it matters to who is on your schedule, not your own team. So that's how you should put passion into this tool if you so have it. I want to hear Kai's passion about my alma mater as he continues to be the watchdog of IU hoops this season.
The only reason I talk about Indiana a lot is because I see a lot of just hot takes on Twitter all the time about IU. It's a passionate fan base.
It's a great fan base.
Fantastic. Hey, it's an awesome school too. Hey, my wife went to grad school at Indiana. I love Indiana. It's an amazing town, Bloomington, and it's a really fun place to go. And Matt obviously went there. We visit him all the time. Indiana. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of tweets that are saying this. Well, after all that, blah, 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 the Hoosiers are 7-1. So I guess it was not worrying about anything, really. And if you're an Indiana fan, are you complacent? Have you beaten a tournament team yet? I don't think you have. Maryland does not look the part. Michigan is not a tournament team at the current moment. You're still 3-5 against the spread, which measures theoretically your 50-50 shot about beating a team, on a floor. 3-0 in the last three, been playing better for sure. 11th in KenPom in the Big Ten. I know KenPom haters are out there, but this is a metric that you rank 11th in your own league, and you say you're 2-0 in the league. Okay, sure. No big deal. Yeah, I get it. Questions now, and I won't just rant on the negatives of Indiana. Xavier Johnson, are you better without him? Matt, I'll start with you. Matt, are you better without Xavier Johnson? I think it's possible.
No, because I watched Trey Galloway play a terrible half of basketball last night. No, we need Xavier Johnson.
It's not a question
big
of
picture, long term. We're not better.
It's not a question of he is not as good of a basketball player individually as your other guards. I don't think he's a good team player.
Bad leader. Yep.
Bad leader.
That's where I land.
Fair.
Yes.
I think he goes rogue for sure. I think Galloway is actually a very good defender, but I think just he brings an element that you could utilize maybe in different role. Like at least you could bring him as like a super spark off the bench if you don't think he's like truly the alpha point guard that some people believe. I know his presence would be helpful for this team, which has no guard depth, none.
I don't think he can.
You know who is a good defender, Matt? That's playing a ton.
CJ
Dunn.
CJ Gunn's good.
This is a Jim mea culpa because I didn't think he'd be a shooter, and he's not. He's not giving them anything in terms of offensive production, but that guy can defend. He's long.
Yeah,
He gets his hands on everything, and he's really when he plays the last couple games, he's given them a huge spark defensively, and I just don't think XJ provides that. And this team needs to lean into defense, rim domination, identity, and I don't think XJ is really boosting either of those things.
I'm just not sure he'd even be willing to spark plug off the bench, Matt, because I don't think he'd take that role. I think that's the problem. I think it's like
I agree with that. Yeah, you probably wouldn't accept
it's like a Russell Westbrook thing, honestly. Like that's the most close NBA comparison I guess I can make it. It's just like he's clearly good, he's putting up stats, but he's not winning. And that's my takeaway there. But Khalil Ware, he's been awesome. Every time I watch him these last couple of games, I'm like, he's just good. I mean, he hits hard shots. He's hitting outside shots. He's a great free throw shooter.
Dunk anything. It's
disruptive.
Crazy.
He's very, very good. Living up to his potential. Renew, incredibly hard to stop inside. The problem is the 3-point shooting is going to be a year-long problem. It's going to matter at some point. You've been getting away with it these last couple games because you can bully inside and other teams aren't hurting you, but severely limits your ceiling if you can't hit threes. I'm still pretty bearish on Indiana overall. Jim, not sure how you feel about that.
Yeah, generally, I mean, as they play better interior teams like Auburn, Kansas, Rutgers, Purdue, these teams are on the schedule that they're going to have to figure out how to beat without any sort of perimeter presence. But generally, encouraged by how dominant they are in the paint. Shout out to CBB Analytics and Chris Shoot 3 on Twitter, big Indiana fan. I think he's worked at Midmajor Madness in the past, but he tweeted a couple of screenshots on Indiana. I mean, their shot chart is just amazing and high volume in the paint and horrific around the perimeter. And like all their efficiency and frequency is amazing near the basket and horrible and low frequency away from the rim. Like they have an identity. So I think it's a game plannable team. You just have to have personnel that can handle them.
Agreed.
It's funny. The team is looking a lot like last year's team. Like there's a lot of changing parts, but the identity in the way they're playing and like the kind of two-pronged interior punch, I mean, Renew and Ware play so well together. Like that's like the strength of this team, just the way they operate.
Their passing is awesome.
Is really good. Yeah, maybe you're right, Jim. Just go all defense with Gunn and Galloway long term. If this, if X's injury continues to linger, I still think it's an overreaction to say they're better without him.
I'm just posing the question.
Yeah. Hi, but here's my take on this: is they're like holding the fort together while they're taking on water, and underneath that like layer of like they're fixing the stuff underneath the behind the scenes, but they've done a nice job keeping it afloat. Like
Yeah.
they had every reason to lose that game to Maryland at home, given how they were playing. Every reason to lose the game to Michigan. They didn't. They're still in the hunt.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
give
I
you
got
the
to give some
Michigan
credit to
one.
Mike Wilson.
Maryland, they've been hopeless too. So
Yeah, I
I'll
guess
give you the
they've been pretty
Michigan game though,
hopeless.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great schedule
Maryland,
start though. So nice job,
yeah,
schedulers for Indiana. Like really good job.
yeah,
Awesome.
Maryland, the only team that is a worse shooting team than Indiana.
Yeah.
And they were able to play them right away. And Michigan, whew, man, they've fallen
Tough.
far from their opening 3-game barn burner binge where they didn't miss a shot. Turns out it sucks more when they miss shots.
And
Yeah.
Juwan Howard's been back on the bench. How many games? 3?
Oh, there we
Kai.
go.
I agree with Kai here. I do. I
Spot
hope
the lie.
Juwan's Howland. I hope he's well and
He's
able.
well enough to be on the bench.
Auburn and Kansas are next up for Indiana, Kai. So we will learn quickly.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll
What's real and
probably
what's
bet against them both games. To Jim.
All right, to me, that's a lot of Indiana talk. Wow. Yeah, I hope Kai and I's alma mater outside the top 70 gets the same kind
The
of
Big
love at
Ten's a
some
good
point.
conference right now. There's a lot of good of fodder within the Big Ten. I'm here for it.
All right, my first thought is called Halftime Heroes and Villains. And this is inspired a little bit by an exchange I had on Twitter with Iveta Abramian last night. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But talking about how St. Mary's is just a completely different team, Jekyll and Hyde, first half to second half. And I wanted to look at scoring margins relative to your own performance. So teams that either play really well in the first half and then poorly in the second half, or vice versa. And no surprise, St. Mary's is in the top 5 of teams that play worse in the second half. Their scoring margin is just, it tanks. It's 14 points worse per game in the second half. So right up there with them, UNC Wilmington, shockingly. I was very surprised to see that given their historical reputation as a team that erases leads. And of course, their big win at Kentucky. Nevada, Hampton, Auburn surprised me. Elon, and then I'm saying all this to get to this other team, Northern Iowa, a team that has been horrible in second halves this season. Not really even a depth thing because they have players. They go like 8-9 deep, but they have just been outfoxed in the second half, haven't been able to figure it out. They're a little bit like St. Mary's. The offense can't figure it out in the second stanza. Other teams to look out for here, notables, Charleston, Miami, Florida, a team that really has no depth, and Yale. That was a little bit surprising to me as well. Not really a theme in terms of like good coaches, bad coaches. You'd think maybe it'd be bad coaches that can't make the adjustments at halftime, but there are some good coaches in here that just haven't been able to figure it out. On the other end of the spectrum, teams that are better in the second half, these are almost all teams that get blown out in the first half and their opponent takes their foot off the gas. That would be Florida Gulf Coast, Southeast Missouri State, Milwaukee, UT Rio Grande Valley, Buffalo. Yeah, that's how that works. There are some notables though. Northern Kentucky has been better in the second half. Wake Forest, Oklahoma State, Tulane, and team we already discussed from the Big Ten, Illinois. That one I think
Illinois
is
makes sense.
The depth and the amount of weapons that they have. I see how they wear people down. So an interesting little look there. Maybe I'll tweet out some more tidbits from this analysis I did, but kind of just great to have some sort of factual background on why and proof that St. Mary's is a second half collapser.
Yeah, really disappointing. They were up 25 last night, and I think all 3 of us had St. Mary's against Cleveland State, and disappointing to watch that lead dwindle away. But the slow starters are interesting, Jim. I don't know why it is. Like Wake is a slow starting team. Is it the other team letting up on the gas because they're too strong in the first half against them, and they come back in the game? Is it good coaching by Forbes? Probably a little bit. Why are they starting slow? I don't know. Why is NKU starting slow? I have no idea. These teams should be getting off to better starts, and just curious, just spitballing.
NKU is when I thought teams would struggle in the first half, figuring out their zone, and then second half, it's like, oh, we've seen this now. So yeah, some of these don't completely follow logic, so there's sample size stuff mixed in here that would like I said, wouldn't overreact and automatically bet first halves with the teams that are better first half, but certainly worth noting. And if you can find a reason why, then maybe you've really got something.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, your second thought, unless you have something to add.
No, yeah, I was just going to call it like Charleston, Indiana State, like 2 mid-major darlings that are both, probably in contention to win their leagues, teams that we might see in the tournament. Very tough to prepare for. I think teams just typically aren't ready for them first halves. Then you mentioned like the Miamis and the Gonzagas who just don't have the depth, so I think their second half demise is more just due to lack of bodies, I suppose, just sort of wearing down. Yeah, my second thought, excuse me, is the um, my guys, part 4. Thank you. And a quick shout, I just want to say to Robbie Avila and Xavier Lee, who were just absolutely like monsters um, in the week following my love for them, which is basically last Wednesday. So they were just phenomenal, and their teams rock. My guy, I only have one tonight, and I feel lame. It's not a mid-major guy. It's just Terrence Shannon. And Kai, this kind of struck a chord with me because we saw him in his early days at DePaul
Yeah.
when he was a freshman, I think, at Texas Tech.
Mhm.
And I think everyone was like, this guy's going to be really good. And he just sort of like, he couldn't really shoot, didn't really have like the instincts down, but just like the sheer speed and power in which he played, like the way he can like contort his body, just like the explosion toward the rim. To see him evolve at Texas Tech and then to kind of re-evolve at Illinois, his shooting gains, and then sort of his role change to being like an on-ball dynamic creator. I said last night on the BetMGM show, like I think he's like a long shot, decent bet to win Player of the Year if there tends to be fatigue with Edie. I think it's probably a super long shot, but like I think he's going to put up real numbers for this team, and I think his true on-off impact is demonstrable because of just like the kind of like energy and like heart and soul. He has all the intangible stuff I love, like just plays super hard. His teammates love him. I saw Greg Waddell tweeted out that locker room after the FAU win. Like, I just think he is like the leader of this team, and he very much carries like that true alpha, guy badge in the room. So just a shout to Shannon. Sorry, kind of a boring, another Big Ten mention, but I think he's legit.
Can I ask you one thing on Shannon? Do you
Yeah.
think the shooting's real this year? Because he started last year scorching and then ended up like barely 30%.
It's more real than
Does it
last year.
stay?
No, I think he's not. It's mid-30s. It's not low 30s. I think it's mid-30s. I think it's better.
Not 45%.
No, it's not 40%. He missed a couple of bad ones last night. Like a couple of like, oh yeah, that's the Shannon shooter. I remember. He's just so good in transition, and Underwood's doing a really nice job of getting him out in transition more, and then using him to attack favorable matchups more too. And defensively, he's great. I mean, he's just a two-way stud. He really is.
Yep. I think definitely argument that you can make that he's second best player in the conference behind Edie.
That was I really didn't have any other my guys. I feel like there's no other cool performances that jumped out to me. But Shannon was like that. Yeah, I've always liked that guy. Good to see him doing well. So shout out to Terrence.
I think maybe a couple of us chose him All-American preseason. I want to say, yeah, one or two of us.
That looks like a prophetic choice at this point.
I'll check 3-man-suite.com, Kai, since it's up there.
Oh, is it good? Good. I'm glad. Okay, next up for me. Let's get off the Big Ten. Let's talk about the Big 12. It's unbelievable again. Newsflash for those of you who are just tuning into the college basketball season. The Big 12 is unbelievable. Just using our handy-dandy KenPom real quick. 3 top 6 teams currently in the country, and none are named Kansas. Houston's at 1, Baylor's at 5, and BYU is at 6 right now. And really, it's 4 of the top 6 teams if you want to count Arizona, as they are going to the Big 12 next season. We won't for this exercise, but scary when that team gets in the league. 2 more teams are in the top 20 to make it 5 in the top 20. Kansas at 11, knocking on the door of the top 10. And then Oklahoma at 18. And man, this team has looked awesome. Porter Moser could not be happier with the job he has been doing this year. He's so good at exploiting mismatches in his game plans. His team is obviously very well coached, and they are outperforming their talent, which is solid, but they're still outperforming it this year. They're doing a great job. 3 more teams are in the top 30. So now we have 8 teams in the Big 12 in the top 30 of KenPom. That's Iowa State, Texas, and Cincinnati, who is a top 30 team right now. Another new member of the Big 12, raising the league up. And instead, I think most people thought it was Houston. Maybe the other 3 go down a little bit in the basement of the standings. But really, Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston have been fantastic, all 3 of them. And then 2 more teams in the top 50. So 10 teams in the Big 12 are in the top 50 this season. TCU at 32, not gotten a lot of love this season in media circles. They did almost lose to Georgetown. They were up by a lot in the second half. They let them climb back. I think this is a better team than number 32 personally.
Well, they've done the opposite of like Purdue, where Purdue's played a ton of big games that everybody watched.
Yeah.
TCU's played nobody in the top 150, so no one's watched any of their games.
Yeah, really. I don't even been on TV yet, it seems like.
Worst schedule in the country per KenPom.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, jury's out on TCU. Texas Tech is at 50, and then expanded to 52, K-State, who doesn't even have Naquan Tomlin in the lineup yet, Case Glover in the lineup yet, Quez Glover, excuse me. So really 11 teams basically in the top 50. In the basement, TBD on the basement here. UCF doesn't look that great. Oklahoma State looks awful. West Virginia, they look bad, but it's not a full roster yet. We'll see when Kriisa gets back in the lineup. Is the national champion in the Big 12 Matthew?
Yes, I do. I think Baylor's awesome. In Houston, we knew Houston was awesome. Baylor is like even more awesome than we maybe thought. KU still KU. There's only two bad teams in this league, and they're both competitive. Oklahoma State and West Virginia, I think.
I'm not
You know,
ready to call Oklahoma State competitive.
Okay, maybe they're not competitive. I don't know. I just feel like that team still won't be horrible, but they might be on their way. I'm like UCF, I think is going to be solid. I think they're going to find 6 wins in conference, 5 of which at home. Like they defend so well. Like defensively, they're really terrifying. Cincinnati defensively terrifying, especially now with Nzis Bandago back. BYU, I mean, what's there to say when they haven't lost and they play it toughest place to play, outside of Fog in the entire league, Texas Tech maybe. Like so, yeah. The additions did not add any dead. We said this preseason, but there's been no dead weight added to this league. None.
Yeah, I'll take the under on 6 wins for UCF. I bet it's like 3.
5. Okay.
I bet it's like 3.
I'll go over under there. I'll board bet you there.
I'll say UCF wins more than Oklahoma State. If you want to take that
I'm with you there. No, that's a lock. That's a stone cold lock.
I think Oklahoma State wins more. Gallagher-Iba is a really tough place to play.
All right, I'll board bet it.
They're gonna win some surprising games.
So will UCF. Kai, to answer your question, no, the national champion's not here yet. Arizona will be there next year. That's my.
I'm okay with that take.
That's my live choice for national champion. I'm sure it'll change, but they're just the team I've been most impressed with this year. So
I agree. Same. All right, Jim.
All right, my second thought is a game for you two, and it's called Rank These 3 or 4. There's a couple where I got 4. But I don't want you to look at your power ratings. I don't want you to look at KenPom. I want you to go off your gut. Which ones you think are best? First, UConn, Houston, Arizona. Rank them, Matt.
Arizona, Houston, UConn.
Same.
Kai?
Yep.
Same. All right. 3 across the board there. If you have major discussion points.
Wait, Jim, you agree with that?
Did so. Yep, I do. I have my own rankings written.
Good for you.
Internally here. But if you have points you want to make on any of these ones,
yeah.
feel free to jump in.
Can I say one thing on UConn since they played last night? Dana O'Neill had a tweet, I guess, saying a quote from Hurley that like no one thought we could be better than last year, but I did. I think it was Hurley or some one of the players. They're not better than last year.
You're not better than last.
They're not better than last year.
Yeah.
They're not better than
lost
last
a
year.
non-conference game. You didn't do that last year.
They were boat racing teams last year in non-con. They just beat North Carolina. Let's relax.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim.
I mean, team's awesome. That
They are awesome.
They're still making tough shots, but they create so many good ones that the tough ones are just like make them unbeatable instead of like, oh, we need the tough ones to win. It's a really impressive squad. All right, next one. This is the top of the SEC sans Tennessee. Kentucky, Auburn, Texas A&M, Alabama. Rank them, Kai.
Okay. Ooh, that's tough. Man. Okay, I'm gonna go Texas A&M. Healthy. Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama.
Okay. Matthew.
Auburn,
Ooh.
A&M, healthy, Kentucky, Alabama.
Okay. We all have Alabama 4th. I believe they are the top ranked team at KenPom of this group. I go Kentucky top of the group, then Texas A&M, then Auburn, then Alabama for me.
I might be too far on Auburn. Maybe I've gone to actually watched the entire.
Is not very good.
I agree.
Yep. Auburn did just lose at App State, so for anyone screaming, Kentucky, you just lost to UNC Wilmington, that's a worse loss than at App State for sure. But I still believe in the Kentucky ceiling. And again, no Wagner trying to figure out things with Bradshaw. We'll see how that pans out. Big 12 middlers. Cincinnati, Iowa State, Texas. Matt first.
Texas 1, Cincy 2, Iowa State 3.
Hi.
Iowa State, Texas, Cincy.
I still begrudgingly went Texas 1. Iowa State and Cincy, but man, I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see when Dylan Disu comes back. That's kind of the one caveat we're waiting on there with the Hook'em Horns.
Sheedrick rocks. They may not need him. All right, next take. Sorry, hot take.
They need him. We discussed
you-
this.
You just said they're 0-7 against, or all their wins are Q4.
Sheedrick has been awesome.
Yeah. Don't you think it would be awesome to have two of them the way?
Yeah, it'd be two.
Indiana's-
I said both, sure. But I guess my Disu affinity has diminished since I've seen Sheedrick just look like an absolute.
They
boss.
should have lost to Louisville with Shedrick in the lineup.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't you
that was
just say
bad.
like if they have the Renault Ware type combination up front with actual competent guards that can score?
That'd be better.
Replacements?
I agree with that. That's fair.
Yeah.
You could trade those two. You would in a heartbeat.
So we'll see.
Cincy rocks. I'm in on Cincy. That's my.
They're very
takeaway
good.
from
Yeah,
that.
I'm still trying to figure out Cincy. I don't mind Lukosius sitting for them. Sorry, Matt.
I don't either.
All right, next up. Ohio State, Clemson, USC. Ohio State, Clemson, USC, Matthew.
Ohio State, USC, Clemson. Sorry, Clemson. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's not personal. Just
Ohio State, Clemson, USC.
Okay. I have USC third, Clemson, Ohio State, USC. I believe we're all different there. I was trying to find out if we could get any 3 different orders, and I think we managed one on that one. All right, then we've got a couple that are a little more wild card. Providence, Northwestern, and Memphis. Providence, Northwestern, Memphis. How do you rank them?
Ugh.
Matthias. I'll go
Boy,
with
that's
Matthias
tough.
first again.
Providence 1, Northwestern 2, Memphis 3. No, sorry, Providence 1, Memphis 2, Northwestern 3. God, I hate Memphis. But Memphis is better than Northwestern, I think.
Okay.
Memphis 1, Northwestern 2, Providence 3.
Okay.
Man, I'm in on Providence. I think that team's
I'm
good.
not.
I went Memphis 1, Providence 2, Northwestern 3. Providence's defense is good. Their offense is not. It's like pretty much that simple.
Okay.
Providence, the Wisconsin win was good. That's all they've done.
Very good. Look how good that wins age. Wisconsin's good. I almost had a whole thought on Wisconsin
At
today,
home.
but I was like, nope, I'm not
It's a
doing
really good home court. Really good home court.
All right. Here's a fun one. 4 teams, 4 mid-major darlings: Liberty, Princeton, Indiana State, James Madison. Again, Kai, going to you first. Liberty, Princeton, Indiana State, and James Madison.
Princeton, Liberty, Indiana State, James Madison.
Okay. Matthew.
Princeton, Indiana State, Liberty, James Madison.
All right. So Kai, did you rank James Madison 4th also?
Yes.
You did 4, you too? Man, that's tough.
Yeah. I have Indiana State first, fellas.
That's good. I'm here
Drinking
for
the blue Kool-Aid, the ISU blue Kool-Aid. Princeton 2nd, Liberty 3rd, JMU 4th. Last one, this is kind of a weird, also ran one. Florida State, Maryland, and Butler. Florida State, Maryland, and Butler. Kai,
Jeez.
what do you think?
I got it. I'm ready.
Man, Maryland.
Passing the
so
rock.
Bad.
All right,
go,
take
Matt.
it, Matt.
Florida State 1, Butler 2, Maryland an emphatic 3.
I think Butler's number 1 by a good margin. Then it's,
Wow.
then it's Florida State, and then it's Maryland.
I have Florida State number 1. Still sort of clinging to some hope for Maryland. Probably shouldn't. Did not like Butler's effort last night. I think it was a Butler Twitter writer that said, I think Buffalo's the only D1 team they beat with that effort.
Why do you guys like Florida State so much?
I think they're pretty good, man. That
I
team
think
was
the
up
talent's
15
bad.
on the
Florida,
road in
Georgia.
the second half.
I'm with
At
Kai and
North
the
Carolina.
concern. I think the talent's there.
One
It-
win.
Man, the 30-0-1 run that watching
know
that
it's
team
going.
break a press has been really alarming. Like if every team is not pressing Florida State going forward, or Florida State and Arkansas, just press those teams. They have no idea what they're doing. Zero idea what they're doing against the press. None.
That's very valid.
Absolutely none.
I think Butler's really good. I'm gonna say it. Thad Matta.
They were up big last night. They were up. They
we-
also collapsed. There was like a bunch of teams like that just basically stopped trying the second half. I think they're up like 20 points.
We thought he would be really good there, and we were a year early. Like they could have beaten
Butler's
FAU.
solid.
Yeah. Anyways,
We'll see. All right. That's it for my rank these teams. So Matt, you don't have a third thought, I don't believe. So Kai.
No, I don't. I'm gonna holster. Let's talk games. We have good ones. Good ones to
Oh.
discuss.
Well, Kai and Jim each have third thoughts. So
That's right. Third thoughts. Sorry.
Yes.
Around the horn we go.
hey, mine's kind of like Jim's. It'll be pretty quick. It's buy or sell the sub 100 power conference teams. So if you're buying these teams, you think they're better than their current ranking and they're going to do better in the future. If you're selling them, you think they're worse than their current ranking and they will do worse in the future. So here we go. Syracuse somehow is 100th in the country per KenPom. Jim, buy or sell Syracuse?
buying. This team's young and will play terrible on the road at times, and they've shown that. But part of the ranking is really, really bad late game stuff against especially Tennessee and Canisius, New Hampshire. They're better than 100.
Yeah, I'm buying Kai, but I told my broker to have his phone handy.
Yes.
As I will be looking to offload it very quickly if I see
Yeah.
some,
I
ominous
I
news
won't
come through.
I won't bet Syracuse on the road probably for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Syracuse is a team that could have a lot more covers than it currently does. They have blown a lot of winners, we will say. I'll buy them as well. Boston College, number 105. Matthew, buy or sell?
Can I hold? Is that an option?
Well, it's called buy
A
or sell.
light sell. A light sell. I think
Okay.
they're pretty good though. I do. I'm kind of in on BC, but 10 top 100.
I guess you can hold. Jim?
If you're holding, you're predicting they'll land exactly 105.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Within
So,
10 spots of the number, I think is my point on a hold.
I'm softly buying. I think they'll be feistier as a dog, even
Yeah.
especially on the road in the ACC than Syracuse will, but maybe not as high a ceiling at home. Like Syracuse, I think can get some big wins at the Carrier Dome.
I'll say soft
If-
buy too on BC. Yeah,
They have the best player in college basketball, Quentin Post, just a friendly reminder.
he's really good. West Virginia is number 109. Jim?
Sell. I know they're getting Creasa back, but I am super sick of the constant appeals for Raekwon Battles waiver. It just doesn't need to be a daily thing. I'm sick of it. Give it to him or don't. I don't care anymore. I love Jesse Edwards. I don't love a lot of what's around him. And even Creasa back, I think they'll still be pretty erratic. I don't love them.
Sell. I think they run out of emotional steam with the whole having 6.5 players and Battle not being there and whatever. Yeah, sell.
I'm buying them. Buy West
Good for
Virginia.
you.
I think they're going to figure it out. Creasa gets back in 2 games, and I think Battle's going to get the waiver. They're going to wear him down. So I'll buy.
It's a very good buy.
Minnesota, number 113, Matthew.
Buy.
I know I can't buy all
like-
these teams. I'm gonna buy.
I
them
like
too.
the roster. I do. I think it's a nice little roster.
Jim.
I'll sell. I think they're going to be in major trouble in the Big Ten. Saw it at Ohio State. I mean, they kind of got back in it late, but I don't like the guard play, and it's just hard to feature Garcia against even some of the better bigs that other Big Ten teams have. I'm selling.
All right, Penn State, another Big Ten team, the lowest rated Big Ten team right now, number 127. Jim, buy or sell?
Sell. This is the worst defense in the Big Ten. Maybe they can score with some people, but my God, are they going to get destroyed at the rim and off the bounce in this league? They'll finish below this. I don't think they move up.
Yeah, I'll sell. Mike Rhodes with bad defense is like, well, then what does Mike Rhodes have? Like, that's kind of what Mike Rhodes is built on his whole career. So, yeah, that's concerning for sure.
I guess I'll sell. They should be better though. I'm a little confused still on why they're so bad, but I think I know the answer to this question. Number 160, Louisville. I'll be selling them, Matthew. I don't think their bottom has been found yet.
Oh,
wow.
I'll sell. I don't think they can be like, no, I guess they were literally 100 spots worse last year. I'll sell. I don't think they'll be worse than like top 200 though. I think it's a slight sell, a light sell for me.
I'm going to slight sell, and I certainly won't be buying tickets to see them on Saturday at DePaul. That's
At
my
Wintrust, what a
promise to
great
you.
the whole
The stinky
ACC,
toilet bowl,
Big
I
12.
will not be at that game.
Wish they'd stop
Big
playing
East
teams
ACC.
I cannot bet on. I can't bet DePaul in any situation, even to fade Louisville. We're not to DePaul yet. We'll get there. Cal, number 167. Jim, we bought him in the preseason. What do you think now?
I'm buying the heck out of them. They just got Kennedy back, played a pretty decent game. Celestine hopefully on the way too. Mark Madsen's a very good coach. I think they finish higher than 167.
Matt.
Yeah, I have to buy this. Mark Fox's best year at Cal was 114 in 2021. I think this team can be that good for sure, right?
They just beat
Yeah.
Santa Clara by 15 with Kennedy back
Yeah.
in the lineup. But
Notable.
That's good.
Yep, I'm buying them. Notre Dame, number 169. I'm buying them, Matthew. They're well coached. This team is well coached.
Yep. I watched them play 3 times. I watched the Auburn game. Their stuff is good. The Shrewsbury effect is very there. Their talent is not abhorrent, but it's definitely not high-end ACC talent. But it's still a buy for me, Jim.
Big old buy. Buying the heck out of them. Getting Jai back up front gives them a little more competence inside. Going to be erratic too because they're reliant on Shrewsbury and Burton, freshman playmakers, but I like them quite a bit.
This one's interesting here. Georgetown, number 177 with Ed Cooley. Jim, they almost came back and beat TCU. Buy, sell?
I think I'm buying based on this positioning. 177.
Yeah.
Ish Masu in there is like an adult in the room of like little tykes, little toddlers that are playing with their toys, and I think he's at least competent. Cooley's competent. I will buy them. I'm quickly trying to check what the live spread is for the return to Providence.
Ooh.
Given that they've fallen down, we're looking
12,
at 14.
10?
Yeah, they probably get absolutely smacked in that game. I've come around to that opinion.
Yeah. Matt, buy, sell?
I'll buy.
I think I'll buy it too.
I'll buy.
A little bit.
I'm not excited about it, but I'll buy.
A little bit.
That's a cheap price, Kai. That's a bargain. It's below its 10-week it's 10-week P to price to book ratio. Yeah, I'll buy.
You could argue Vanderbilt at 186 would be a cheap buy as well, Matthew. Would you buy or sell them?
No, I think there's bankruptcy coming here. I'm selling. I know they're getting healthier.
I'm buying them big time.
Are you?
Big time. Yeah, they haven't played like a full roster yet once this season. I think once Colin Smith's back from his concussion, you got Mignon, you got Lawrence. I'm buying.
Hey, they beat UNC Greensboro at home. By the way, counts as a Q4 loss for Greensboro. How about that? Losing at an SEC school is a Q4 loss right now for Greensboro. That's tough.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
That's
Wow,
tough.
that is insane. Okay, Matt's Beavers at 192. Buy, sell?
Buy,
Jim selling.
gobble, buy.
This
Gobble?
team against Pac-12 talent is hopeless.
Wait, what's gobble? Do you think Beavers go gobble?
I'm gobbling up. I'm gobbling all the
okay.
stock up. Sorry, I know why I was saying that. Man, they just have not made any shots. They could be a terrible shooting team. It's in fact likely they could be. They can't be 24% from three bad. I just don't think that's as bad as they are. So
I'll sell. I don't believe in them. Sorry. And then DePaul, the worst team in the country in the power conference levels. Will they finish as such, Jim? They're 202 in the country. Jim.
Sell. I think this gets to like Georgetown level terrible where the coaches are walking lame duck and the team rolls over and quits on them. Yep. Sell.
Matt. Chicago's Big Ten team, Big East team.
can I buy?
You may.
I'll buy.
You sure
I'll
can.
buy.
You can have any shares I
Take
have
my
left.
stock too. Here.
Anything
Yeah,
I find
okay.
in the couch cushions is all yours.
I'm gonna buy for Big East play. I think they're gonna have a little upswing, a little bit. I do.
Alrighty.
It'll still be bad, like 3-17, right? For sure. But 4-16, yeah, that gets me to 175 overall. Probably that's a good buy. It's a safe buy.
Over under Big East wins 3.5. Will you take over? I'll take under.
3.5.
You get like Xavier at home, you get Georgetown at home, you get Seton Hall at home, St. John's volatile at home.
Yeah, man, that sounds. You should definitely.
Yeah,
take
sorry,
over.
I'm not copying this case. Nova, they might beat Nova at home. I bet Nova comes in and just trances through that game, and DePaul maybe scares them.
It's happened when they were good.
Yeah, DePaul
Villanova
actually
was
always
good.
doing pretty good. Jim, I'm going to take 4. Okay, done. Over 4 wins for DePaul.
Wow.
4 league wins.
Hey, I'm
Gobble.
giving you 3.5. So 4 is a winner for you.
And I think 2 of those come under a head coach not named Tony Stubbs.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
The
fine.
interim bump is in my future.
Throwing a
in the
dart.
crystal ball.
All right.
All right. Goodbye, sell. Jim, last thought.
It's very quick. It is just entitled technically that's stupid, and this is mostly in response to last night's UConn versus North Carolina matchup. Cam Spencer grabbed the ball after a make by UConn and chirped and got in Baycott's face, and then he was warned. And after Baycott makes an actually awesome play, put back dunking a missed free throw, he gets teed up. I think this warning thing is stupid. How about at the beginning of the game, you say, if you do something worthy of a technical, you will get one. Otherwise, you're giving carte blanche to one player in every single game to be a little shithead, and then it's the warning, and then anybody after that gets a technical. A warning is stupid. If you do something technical worthy, it's a technical. Either they are or they aren't. I was okay with letting both of those things go and not be technicals last night, but it's either both are or neither is, and I just think this warning thing is really dumb. If it's either a technical or it's not, let's not have standards that change as the game goes on. That's it.
Totally agree. Let's get rid of a lot of technicals that have to do with emotion. How about that? My brother texted me yesterday. Southern Illinois got up 3 with 10 seconds left. and they got a technical for celebrating.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Whole,
Right. It was actually.
I mean, you could have cost them the game for just celebrating. That's ridiculous.
It's
Should
like you're
never
looking
happen.
to make that call.
Should
It's just
never
it's so
happen,
it reeks of like
especially at
thin-skinned
home.
insecurity. I hate it. And I'm an old school guy who likes the dudes who sort of go about their business without celebratory. So I am in the curmudgeon camp. I'm in the Clint Eastwood Gran Torino on my lawn camp, but that doesn't mean we need to police it in the actual game. That's
Yeah.
stupid. That's dumb.
I'd expect
That's
that at
dumb.
Allen Fieldhouse, Matthew. I
Stupid.
don't expect that anywhere else. Okay, let's leave that
Wow.
crap behind. We're gonna talk about the border war, Matt. Game previews. You're up.
To Thursday, and there's tonight, good ones by the way. So
Yeah.
don't sleep on the ones tonight with Marquette, Texas, if you're listening live. But tomorrow, aka Thursday, tonight, if you're listening on Thursday, Cyhawk, Iowa State, always a good one. Home team usually has an edge here. This one is at Ames Hilton Coliseum. We've been there, folks. We actually been
Yeah.
there for a game over break. Didn't actually see its full juice potential, but man, that place is special. Do we think Iowa State, because they've actually proven they can compete with and beat good teams, they have an edge here?
Have they?
They have not beaten a good team yet.
They beat. Oh yeah, they blew the lead against A&M. I thought they beat one. They've beaten one.
And
Good
VCU.
team. Have they not?
Count
VCU on a
VCU.
VCU,
neutral,
which I'm not sure I count VCU.
shorthanded?
Yeah, good point. VCU's not a good team. Great chance for both teams to prove something to anyone, and I think Iowa State's the better team by a nose, so I think they win this game. At
Yeah,
home.
I'll take the home squad here. Can kind of overwhelm Iowa with athleticism a little bit and physicality. And Iowa's half court offense just isn't where it usually is under Fran. They don't have the star. They're really reliant on Ben Krikke, who has been very good. With all tip of the cap to him, but I'm just not sure that that's a team and roster that goes into Iowa State, Hilton Magic, and wins a rivalry game where, like you said, home team typically has a major edge, and I think there's just going to be a monsoon of emotion and excitement for Iowa State in this one.
Would you fellas lay 6, lay 7 on Iowa State? Seems kind of high.
Wouldn't lay
now.
7. Wouldn't lay 7.
Because to Jim's point about Iowa's identity confusion, I think Iowa State is a little bit. They're not all the way the usual Iowa State version that we know under Otts as well. So I wouldn't lay it. I think they win. I wouldn't lay it though confidently.
Yeah, I lean that way though.
Gun to head, I'm laying Iowa State first.
Really hard to beat Iowa State in the paint, and that's to Jim's point. They're playing through Krikke. Really hard to do that this year against Iowa State, and Iowa State's offense is better than Iowa's defense. Say that.
Yeah,
So
Iowa's 322nd in points scored off threes. Like, it's not a shooting team this year.
Yeah,
at all.
strange.
That'll be a fun game. All right, we moved to Saturday because Friday has like no games. Just a weird 2-day void of games in the schedule this year. Purdue versus Alabama at Ontario? Question mark. Another fun cross conference showdown. But yeah, kind of games in Canada. Canada's big host to a lot of games this year. They had a few MTEs. Purdue's actually, I guess they're closer to Canada. I'm not sure that gives them any sort of edge here.
This is a doubleheader with TCU Clemson.
In
by the way.
TCU, yep.
So-
And
They are closer to Canada, true.
great. So
I'm not putting that one in my handicap.
the bigger part that you should put in your handicap is that Alabama hasn't guarded anything this year.
Yeah.
Oates thinks that they're making improvements on that end. I don't think I believe that. The competition in which they've shown that is basically negligible. I mean, Ohio State shredded them with ease, the game I watched. And yeah, I think catching Purdue like within 3 to 4 games off of a recent loss is just a terrible time to play them. And I think they're still a bit angry after losing to Northwestern, as Iowa witnessed firsthand. I think Alabama catches that same wrath, Kai.
Yep, I think Purdue wins by double digits. I don't think anybody can guard Edie. Wagi, Stevenson, they're tall, long. I don't think they are going to even bother Edie. The guard play is a little bit nervous. I Sears is a gamer, and we know Alabama's athletic, and we know Purdue's history with guards that are athletic, but I still think they get it done, Jim.
Yeah, definitely in Purdue. Matchup wise, like all Purdue does is drop against ball screens, and like Estrada and Sears are pretty good. That like elbow jumpers,
Really good.
They can knock that down fairly consistently. And even if you put Grant Nelson as the handler in ball screens, I think there's an edge to be found there. So this is gonna be a super efficient game. Probably won't bet the total because it's going to be sky high, and I don't know how the arena is going to be. Like I feel like the other Canadian games have been low scoring.
Yeah, the one in Quebec
travel.
was like average score of 110 or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
everything was way under. So I'm not
The
going
cold
to
weather
jump on a
sucks the
total,
art of the ball.
but
Yeah.
lean Purdue, but I at least could see like a matchup potential edge for Alabama there.
Yeah, I don't think Alabama has the guards to pressure Purdue. I think you need to like pressure Purdue's guards like Marquette did. I don't think Alabama's guards like are wired that way. Like Sears and Estrada are more offensive dudes, not defensive ball hawks. All right, the Holy War. To the Beehive State we go. We've been waxing poetic about how good basketball is in this state, and this is kind of the I would call it the eruption of two of the best teams. Utah hosting in Salt Lake City, Mr. McKeon. Injuries loom large on both sides. Believers should have Braden Carlson back for Utah next game, knock on wood, and Faust Traore for BYU. I want both teams at full strength for this one. BYU's the deeper team, though. So I think you could argue that's a pretty good edge, but this is also BYU's first true road test, and going to Utah is certainly a pretty daunting test. What's your angle here?
Yep, first year road test, hostile environment. BYU's value cannot be higher. It is peak, 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 unless you really think they're better than number 6 in the country. I don't. They haven't beaten anybody yet. I mean, San Diego State, they won. San Diego State has not been very good this season. You can poke holes in their resume is what I'm saying, but they're destroying teams. Great team. I think Utah Jim gets it done. We'll see where the market has this. KenPom has this BYU -4. I don't think it's going to be that in the actual market, but I'll look to back Utah if they're some sort of decent dog.
Yeah, I think the line's going to be kind of skewed because BYU's wins by 50 instead of 30. And like that does end up mattering to the lines. But what really matters to me here is Brandon Carlson. Like if he's out, BYU wins. And I think wins by like
That's true.
8 to 10. But he's supposed to be back. He should be back. But man, Southern Utah almost beat Utah without him.
Yep.
So that is
I'm telling you.
mega concerning. He's one of the most important players in the country. I will be monitoring that closely.
There's been like this feast week hangover where like these teams like 5 times last night, your team's up 10, 15, 20, and then just like a sort of, all right, we're going to check out here. And a couple of close calls. I mean, that was 1-2. I mean, you cannot lose at home to Southern Utah if you're Utah. That's like a at-large crippling loss, as we've talked about with the Mizzou fans. Like that Jackson State loss will come back to haunt you potentially in
By the way,
So
Craig Smith said, I don't know if Brandon Carlson would.
That's not good.
It is not completely accepted. It's definitely worth watching.
That's annoying. God, I hate that. All right. Well, fun one. The Crosstown, Cincy at Xavier. Great narrative coming in this game, Jim, where you have one team absolutely rolling, just like, where the program's going under Miller. You got Aziz waiver clear. They're crushing teams right now versus the Xavier. We just lost 2 bye games. Our front line's decrepit. But it's at Cintas, and that's a house of horrors for everyone, especially Cincinnati. That's kind of the only redeeming point you can make about this handicap.
Except Delaware and Oakland. They're fine.
Yeah, I guess that was easy for them. But for Cincinnati, it's not been a good place to play. I think this year, when the other team's not that good, it may not matter. I think Cincy wins here comfortably. I really do.
Man, it won't be comfortable. I trust
it's never a
Xavier getting up. It wasn't comfortable for Houston. I don't think it'll be comfortable for Cincinnati. Definitely believe more in Cincinnati, and I love that they played at Howard just to get into like a crazy environment that's, outside their box and have to figure out how to win there and won an OT. So I do lean Cincinnati, but Kai, I will not be betting. I respect the home court in this rivalry too much to get all over the Bearcats on the road.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It's been at least 10 years since he's beat Xavier at Cintas.
At Cintas, yeah, it's been over a decade, I think. Yep.
Yeah. I'm going.
This is the year.
This is just a straight up gut Xavier. I think they get it done.
Kai, last time Mizzou's won at Fog Allen, do you have that stat handy?
When we were in college?
Actually, yeah. I'd tell you it was like over
we beat
2012.
him. Did we beat him?
Yeah, you got
beat him. Beat him at home. I don't know if we beat
him.
him. We beat him sometime in college. I thought maybe not.
I'll try to figure out the.
Yeah, Jim looked. I think it actually was before that though. It had been a while. Anywho, you guys are sort of selling your Mizzou Tigers here in a battle. It was a long time ago. We are old. I think KU is sort of a. I think they're going to struggle to blow teams away, even when you talk about Mizzou, a team that Bill Self notoriously wants to destroy. I think the version of this KU team is not actually built to destroy Mizzou. I think Mizzou keeps us competitive. Is that a bad take or is that a homer take?
I think Kansas is going
to go there.
I think Kansas is going to destroy Mizzou.
Yep.
So proven otherwise.
1999 was the last time that Mizzou
99
won there.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
And in the last 15 years, they covered in 12, covered in 2007.
12,
2-6-1 in the last 9.
Was 12 the Pressey Thomas Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that
Yeah,
earlier?
87, 86. That was
Yeah.
Pressey.
When Pressey got hammered, like murdered basically at the rim,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they didn't call the foul. Yeah.
Yep. Kansas fans are screaming at us. It wasn't a foul. It wasn't a foul.
Yeah, it was a foul.
Kansas fans, I think you're going to slaughter Mizzou this weekend. I think Kansas has not cared about these home bye games against Eastern Illinois and UMKC. They've done enough to get by. They will be so absolutely locked and dialed in. And Mizzou doesn't have the late shot clock shot making that UConn did to stick around. I think this one gets out of hand.
I didn't really expect Mizzou to compete in 2022, but I think I took the points, and they lost by 37. And then last year, when Mizzou hosted Kansas, I was pretty confident Mizzou was going to pull something special, and they lost by 28. Mizzou's defense just isn't good enough. I think Kansas is going to win.
Yeah,
I
might
hate
alt line
but
this one. I might alt line this one.
hey, I'll bet Kansas is an emotion hedge, baby. I mean, I guess worst case scenario is Mizzou loses by like 8, but still.
It's the Connor Vanover game. Finally getting some trust from Dennis Gates. 11 points in 17 minutes last time out for against Wichita. You know, a good front line, not KU's
You
front
don't
line,
think
but a good
Hunter
front line.
Dickinson
I don't-
folds him like laundry?
I think he's going to
Oh,
get
I think
into
he's just gonna
foul
stretch it.
trouble.
Jim,
He's
just
going to
just
destroy
pick
him.
and pop. I bet he has 4 pick and pop threes in this game. Just like, oh crap, we got to switch, we got to match up. How do we got to? Yeah, no, I think
doesn't-
Vanover's gonna have some.
Connor
He's
Vanover
over
doesn't
here.
make 4 threes in a game. He doesn't do that.
Oh well, he'll be fouled out by halftime, Kai. But I think he
Yeah.
gets his licks in before.
Matt, how many
after the
times do you
damage is
think
done.
Connor Vanover made 4 threes in a game for Oral Roberts last year when he was encouraged to shoot as many as he wanted?
Once.
One
I
time.
feel like he made 2 or 3 like all the time. He
He did make quite a bit. but
He made more than 2 like 4 times last year.
Okay.
He's not that prolific. It's a problem.
I think he's a knockdown cheer. Hey, we'll find out. And for your sake, hopefully KU fans find out the hard way in person at the Fog. Beware all ye who enter. Yeah, good luck to you both there. Hey, and good luck, listeners, this weekend on all your wagers if you so dabble, and just, good luck with whatever the hell else you got going on. College basketball is finally kicking into full gear with the spotlight on us and no college football to drown us out. So enjoy that time, as we will. Until next week, take care. But before that time, join us this Saturday, Spinny Show. Kai, what time?
10 a.m. Central. Best bets. Big
And before
Saturday
you
slate.
leave-
Big. 102
Yes,
games.
huge. 102. Too many games. If you're watching live, please hit the like
Oh.
button, subscribe, all that good stuff.
We do have one review if you want to just do real quick.
And one final review.
Forgot.
Kai, read it.
Snorlax 96, still the best out there. The Big Ten normally doesn't bring in many one and done kind of players, but even those kind of recruits are struggling or on the bench so far in 2023. If you guys had to predict someone to step up and win Big Ten Freshman of the Year, who would that be? Do you have a sleeper pick for Freshman of the Year in general? Since a lot of the top 50 guys are struggling. Big Ten.
I mean, for non-Big Ten, I sort of agree with Sam Vecini that Reed Shepherd's been the best freshman in college basketball this year.
Yep.
For Kentucky, so I sort of buy that he could win National Freshman of the Year. Man, it's tough to figure out Freshman of the Year in the Big Ten. Like Deshaun Harris-Smith is going to have all kinds of opportunities for Maryland, so maybe he wins by default. But man, it's kind of hard to find somebody else that's going to get that kind of opportunity plus production.
Owen Freeman, Iowa.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the third big man.
not bad. Fears gets more minutes. Hogard
It might
benched.
be Cohen Carr, might be their
Carr.
best freshman too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of freshmen. He's right with the post here. I'll go Walter for National Freshman of the Year. I think he's
Yeah.
probably pretty far front runner there. But yeah, good question, Snorlax. Thank you for the review. All right, Matt, sign us off. Just final time. No need to get all fancy with it.
Done. Signing off. Thank you for joining us. Come by Saturday and come by again